Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatya Rishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hariva, 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 Gaura Hariva. Nitai Gaura Hariva, Hariva. Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Hariva, 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 Gaura Hariva. Shri Maresi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Shtotar Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Nuramanvedi Dham ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga.
Hare Krishna, so I'm reading a little Prabhupada nectar this morning. This is something Giriraj Swami wrote. Srila Prabhupada was a wonderful person, and everyone who met him immediately fell in love with him. The entire city of Bombay is completely infused and permeated by Srila Prabhupada's personal presence. Wherever we go, we meet people who say they had met Srila Prabhupada. They heard him lecture, or they met him on a walk, or perhaps they met him at a friend's house. Invariably, they were very impressed with Srila Prabhupada and feel they have some relationship with him. Actually, our entire preaching in Bombay is simply encouraging the relationship so many people had with Srila Prabhupada. Wherever we go, people welcome us and say, "You are disciples of Swami Bhaktivedanta?" It seems that his significance is being recognized more and more since his disappearance. While we develop our own individual identities as devotees of Krishna and as preachers, still people tend to see us as Swami Bhaktivedanta's disciples. Unlike other famous gurus who are known in name only, with Prabhupada they also know his philosophy. They know that he was preaching bhakti, surrender to Krishna. They know that he was condemning everything else besides surrender to Krishna. They know he was preaching the regulative principles, and many of them are understanding his preaching about Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I don't really have much announcements. I just want to thank Shakshi Gopal Prabhu, who set up a really wonderful preaching program in Tampa on Saturday. Tamahar Prabhu went down. So thank you very much to him and Shakshi for doing this. There was 25 people that attended, and that's a very good crowd because the Tampa group had kind of dissipated over the last several months as some of the leaders moved away from Florida. So we're reestablishing that, and Shakshi is key in that, and we hope to have other speakers come down, and if anyone would like to run a preaching center in Tampa, let me know, because it's a great place. Okay, that's what I have. These are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master dressing the deities today. Shri Shri Radha Sham Sundar Shama Priya Prabhu, Chota Radha Sham Sundar Shri Vrindavan Prabhu, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Jayanti Prabhu, Chota Krishna Balaram Madhuri Gopi Prabhu, Shri Shri Gornitai Bhadra Prabhu, Chota Gornitai Gandharvika Prabhu, Guruzan Lord Nishingadev, Ananda Vardhani Prabhu, and Nagaraj Prabhu is giving class today.
Today is the disappearance day of Lochan Das Thakur, so we'll sing this song he's written. Shri Shri Gaur Nityananda Daya. The mercy of Shri Gaur and Nityananda. Parama Karuna Paho Dvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra 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 Sabhavatar Sarashiramani Kevalananda Kanda Sabhavatar Sarashiramani Kevalananda Kanda Sabhavatar Sarashiramani Kevalananda Kanda Sabhavatar Sarashiramani Kevalananda Kanda Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Vishvasa Kori Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Vishvasa Kori Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Vishvasa Kori Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Vida Vipasa Kori Visaya Chadiya Serose Majiya Muke Bolo Hari Hari 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 Deko Odipa Tribhuvane Na Vimona Doyala Data Deko Odipa Tribhuvane Na Vimona Doyala Data Deko Odipa Tribhuvane Na Vimona Doyala Data Ekavadeva Vimona Doyala Data Pashupaki Jure Ashana Vidare Shunijara Gunagata Pashupaki Jure Nijara Gunagata Pashupaki Jure Pashana Vidare Shunijara Gunagata Nijara Gunagata Samsare Majiya Rohili Koriya Se Pode Nahilo Asha Rohili Koriya Se Pode Nahilo Asha Samsare Majiya Rohili Koriya Se Pode Nahilo Acha Rohili Koriya Se Pode Nahilo Acha Apana Karama Punjaye Shamana Koye Lochana Dasa Apana Karama Punjaye Shamana Koye Lochana Dasa Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dudati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva ca Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 59, The Killing of the Demon Naraka. And we're reading the chapter summary and text number 1. So let's do the verse first and then I'll read the summary. Word meanings, Sri Raja Uvacha, the king Parikshit said, Yatha, how, Hataha, killed, Bhagavata, by the Supreme Lord, Bhaumaha, Narakasura, the son of Bhumi, the goddess of the earth, Yena, by whom, Cha and Taha, these, Striyaha, women, Nirudhaha, captured, Etat, this, Achakshva, please tell, Vikramam, adventure, Shangadhanvana, of Lord Krishna, the possessor of the bow Sharanga. Sri Rajuvacha Yatahato Bhagavata Bhaumo Yena Chatastriya Nirudha Itarachakshva Vikramam Sharngadhanvana Sri Rajovacha Yatahato Bhagavata Bhaumo Yena Chatastriya Niruddha Etarachakshva Vikramam Sharngadhanvana Sri Rajovacha Yatahato Bhagavata Bhaumo Yena Chatastriya Niruddha Etarachakshva Vikramam Sharngadhanvana Shiraduvacha Yatahato Bhagavata Bhaumo Yena Chatastriya Niruddha Etarachakshva Vikramam Sharngadhanvana Shiraduvacha Yatahato Bhagavata Bhaumo Yena Chatastriya Niruddha Etarachakshva Vikramam Sharngadhanvana Shiraduvacha Nitahato Bhagavata Bhaumoyena Chatastriya Nirodhaitara Chakshva Vikramam Sangadhanmana. Ladies. Hirajuvacha Nitahato Bhagavata Bhaumoyena Chatastriya Nirudha etad achakshva Vikramam Sangadhanmana. Virajuvacha Nitahato Bhagavata Bhaumoyena Chatastriya Nirudha etad achakshva Vikramam Sangadhanmana. Translation. King Parikshit said, how was Bhaumasura, who kidnapped so many women, killed by the Supreme Lord? Please narrate this adventure of Lord Sharngadhanvas. So, summary to the chapter, the killing of the demon Naraka. This chapter tells how Lord Krishna killed Narakasura, the son of the earth goddess, and married the thousands of maidens the demon had kidnapped. It is also described how the Lord stole the Parijata tree from heaven and how he behaved like an ordinary householder in each of his palaces. After Narakasura stole Lord Varuna's umbrella, Mother Aditi's earrings, and the playground of the demigods known as Mani Parvat, Indra went to Dwarka and described the demon's transgressions to Lord Krishna. Together with Queen Satyabhama, the Lord mounted his carrier Garuda and traveled to the capital of Narakasura's kingdom. On a field outside the city, he decapitated the demon Mura with his disc. Then he fought Mura's 7 sons and sent them all to the abode of death, after which Narakasura himself entered the battlefield on the back of an elephant. Naraka threw his Shakti lance at Sri Krishna, but the weapon proved ineffective, and the Lord cut the demon's entire army to pieces. With his sharp-edged disc, Krishna cut off Narakasura's head. The earth goddess, Prithivi, then approached Lord Krishna and gave him the various items Narakasura had stolen. She offered prayers to the Lord and presented Naraka's frightened son at Lord Krishna's lotus feet. After pacifying the demon's son, Krishna entered Narakasura's house, where he found 16,100 young women. Queen Satyabhama to Dwarka, where he planted it in a garden adjacent to Satyabhama's palace. Indra had originally come to Lord Krishna offering obeisances and begging him to kill Narakasura, but afterwards, when his business had been accomplished, he quarreled with the Lord. The demigods are prone to anger because they become intoxicated with pride in their opulences. The infallible Supreme Lord manifested himself in 16,100 separate forms and married each of the 16,100 brides in a different temple. He took up the required activities of household life just like an ordinary person, accepting various kinds of service from each of his many wives. This chapter, the title is The Killing of Demon Naraka. There are other things going on in this chapter, but this takes up the bulk of it. Naraka, as we heard here in this summary, is the son of Bhumi Devi. So he's also called Bhauma Asura. Bhumi, Bhauma. Actually, he's also the son of Krishna. Prabhupada says one purport in the 3rd canto, It is said in other Puranas that Narakasura was the son of Dharitri, the earth, by the Lord himself. But he became a demon due to bad association of Bana, another demon. Now I read somewhere that the son was conceived when Lord Varaha picked up Mother Earth. But I couldn't verify that in our books. That's sometimes the story given, but I couldn't. In fact, the source I saw, it said it was from the Bhagavatam, but I don't find that in the Bhagavatam specifically stated. In any case, somehow this Narakasura was the son of the earth goddess, so she's worthy of our respect. She's our mother. In Bharatanatyam dancing and maybe other Indian dance, before they dance, they offer some obeisances to the earth because they're going to step on her, beat on her with their feet. So they offer respects first, ask her permission to dance on her. In the Ayurveda, it said that one should walk barefoot on the earth. One thing is respectful, but the other thing is that the earth has so much energy. So you can get energy. It's actually good for your health to walk barefoot on the earth. Imagine how much energy she has, actually. She has so much power. All the Shakti is coming from Mother Earth. Someplace I think Prabhupada explains how the energy is usually relative to the size of the object. So how big is Mother Earth? So what storehouse of energy does she have? So much energy. So we can get energy for health by walking barefoot on Mother Earth. And we also offer our respects, although we may not know it, what we're doing. As far as I understand, when we offer our dandavats, and then when we come up and we do another little dandavat, and we touch our head, that's for Mother Bhumi, as far as I understand that. We're offering our respect to Mother Bhumi because we're lying down on her, putting our bodies on her. So we're offering our respect by touching her with our head. So she appears in a few different places in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I was going to read some excerpts of some of her appearances in the Bhagavatam. She considers herself very fortunate because whenever the avatars come, whenever Krishna comes, and we hear how often Krishna comes to the earth, like, innumerable rivulets emanating from inexhaustible sources of water, the Bhagavatam says. So the avatars are always coming, and they come to earth, especially repeatedly. So whenever they come, they walk on the surface of the earth. Prabhupada explains in one place how when Krishna was here, it was generally a problem for many of his devotees that they would lose his association, they would feel separation from him. But Mother Earth never felt separation from him until he left the planet. But while she was here, she was always in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord. So imagine how auspicious she is, actually. She's always, when Krishna comes, she's repeatedly and continuously touched by his lotus feet. So in the first canto, one of the last chapters in the first canto, 16 I think it is, we hear that, actually the context of it is, the chapter is called How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. So we hear about how Parikshit Maharaj is traveling around his kingdom, making sure everything is in order. And he's hearing, wherever he goes, he hears the glories of his ancestors, especially the Pandavas and their association with Krishna. This is a typical thing. He's the king, so he goes someplace. So the citizens and the Sutas and Magadas and Vandis, they glorify him and his ancestors. So he's always hearing about his ancestors. So it says while he was traveling around, while he was doing that, something else was going on in his kingdom. And that was that Dharma in the form of a bull and the earth in the form of a cow were speaking to each other. So we get a transition in that chapter where it goes from Parikshit to the scene of the Dharma and Bhumi Devi speaking to each other. So Dharma, he looks at earth, and this is his opening line. Madam, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on one only. Are you lamenting for my state of existence? Or are you in great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat-eaters will exploit you? Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their sufferings due to famine and drought? Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handled by brahmanas addicted to acts against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture? The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of the age of Kali, and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, and mating, and they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this? Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods. So I'll just read a short purport to that verse. By the grace of the Lord, each and every planet is created fully equipped. So not only is the earth fully equipped with all the riches for the maintenance of its inhabitants, but also when the Lord descends on the earth, the whole earth becomes so enriched with all kinds of opulences that even the denizens of heaven worship it with all affection. But by the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed. He can do and undo a thing by His sweet will. Therefore, no one should consider himself to be self-sufficient or independent of the Lord. So then, Mother Earth, she responds to Dharma, Dharani Uvacha, said there, she speaks. She says, I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once you too were maintained by your 4 legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. Now after she speaks this, then her next verse begins, in Him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness. There's a list of 40 qualities of Lord Krishna there. I just came across this list reading another book, and one comment, I think it was the Brahma Samhita, one of the purports. This list of 40 qualities of Lord Krishna. Truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance. It's interesting because in the verse where she speaks, but just before this, once you two were maintained, you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. I looked at the Sanskrit, I couldn't find the by the mercy of the Lord anywhere. But it makes a transition into the next verse, which says, in Him reside all of these things. So that list ends with eternity. That's number 40 in the list. That's one of Krishna's qualities, that He's eternal. And many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. So this is, again, Bhumi speaking. The personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna, has now closed His transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In His absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere, so I am sorry to see this condition of existence. So I'm not going to read everything she says, but we find there's a theme there, a couple of things. One is, especially she's talking about, just as Dharma did, the plight of the earth because now the age of Kali has begun. So we get a list of bad things that are happening in the age of Kali. And especially she puts the blame on the kings. So this is significant. In fact, there's a few places I'll mention later, but we know in the beginning of the Bhagavatam how it opens, the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, where Bhumi Devi says, these kings with all their big armies, they're trampling me. I'm feeling this burden from these unrighteous kings. So, of course, she goes to Lord Brahma, and then they go to the shore of the milk ocean to ask for help from Lord Vishnu. So this is a theme in her speaking, how the kings are responsible for this. And the other theme, which is actually the main theme, is that really why she's suffering and her face is turning dark is because Krishna has gone. That's really the cause of her suffering, because she was always in touch with Him, and now she's lost His association. And she's also crying not only for herself, or lamenting not only for herself. In the 10th canto, we get the idea that she doesn't like this weight, this burden on herself. But what she says here is that she's lamenting, she's crying. Actually, I'll read what it says here. This is Parikshit Maharaj. Because he speaks to Dharma. Later, Parikshit Maharaj comes on the scene. It's not really clear to me whether he's coming on the same scene or it's something different. It's really not very clear as far as I can understand. But in any case, he's speaking to Dharma. And then he's speaking about the earth goddess. He says, now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes. For now she's being ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. So Prabhupada explains in the purport that she's lamenting for the men and animals, or human beings and animals, not only for herself, but all those who are suffering. One major theme in this whole section of the Bhagavatam is animal slaughter, how the animals are being slaughtered. And when you read that section, you really see we're really living in bad times. It's hell out there. We're living in hell. Pandemonium and chaos and all these different words that Prabhupada uses. Barbaric civilization and so on. So Mother Earth is lamenting for her children who are suffering in this age. So she's crying. Tears are coming to her eyes. So that's the first time we hear about Bhumi Devi in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then later in Varaha's pastime, of course, there are several different appearances of Lord Varaha. A couple, especially in the Bhagavatam, are mentioned. One is, she was knocked to the bottom. Somehow, when there was, at the beginning of the creation, she had fallen down at the beginning of the Garbha ocean. And then there's another time where it's mentioned when the demons, maybe Hiranyaksha, were mining the gold, knocked her out of balance, and then she again was submerged in the ocean. So Lord Varaha came and he picked her up, delivered her from that condition. There she's called Bhumandala, Bhumandalena, by the earth planet. So Bhumandala. Prabhupada, there's one of the verses, it's described as go something, I forget, it's golam or go. So he says this means globe. But Bhumandala we tend to think of as a disc. There's always a question, what did Varaha pick up exactly? He's always the earth is pictured as a globe, as we understand her. But if she's Bhumandala, then we know in the 5th canto, Bhumandala is generally understood to be a disc. Actually, the devotees who were designing the temple of the planetarium, the temple of the universe, temple of understanding. Temple of Understanding of the Vedic Planetarium. Is that the full title? Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. Phew. Okay. I'm thinking Temple of the Universe. That's over. Yeah, that's something else. So anyway, they're struggling, trying to figure out what the universe looks like. So in any case, she's usually shown this way. And then we come to the story of Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's quite an amazing story, actually. It's hard to understand. In fact, I was reading some of the purports, and Prabhupada mentions several times how no one can understand the plan of the Lord, what the Lord is doing. Because when you read this story, you think, why is Prithu so angry at the earth? Because she has her reasons why she's not doing it. But he's ready to kill her. That's the story. When Prithu Maharaj, the first chapters, there are several chapters, it's like 9 chapters or something. It's quite a long section of the Bhagavatam, the story of Prithu Maharaj. So he's glorified, and I think he sees the Kumaras before this, or maybe it's after, I forget. Anyway, he's glorified by the chanters, Suttas and Magadhas and so on. And they're predicting what he's going to do. First he says you shouldn't say these things because I haven't done anything yet. So you shouldn't glorify somebody before they do anything. But they go on anyway. They're encouraged by the Brahmanas to go on, and they say so many things. So one thing they mention is how he leveled the earth and how he milked the earth also. So I think Shukadeva Goswami or Parikshit Maharaj asks, "What's this all about?" Or maybe it's Vidura asking Maitreya. So then he tells the story about how when Prithu Maharaj took the throne, then the citizens came to him and they said, "We're starving. Look how skinny we are. We're not getting any food. So you have to do something about this." So it says that Prithu Maharaj, now of course Prithu Maharaj is a Shakti-avesh avatar. He has the power to rule. God is a king in one sense. So Prithu Maharaj, it says that he contemplated for a long time to figure out what was the cause of this. And then he realized it was Mother Earth was withholding her supply. So he took out his bow and arrow and he aimed it at the earth and he was going to kill the earth with his arrow. So Mother Earth became very frightened and then she appeared before him in the form of a cow. And there's a whole discussion that goes on there. So she's saying, why are you killing me? First she appeals to his sense of justice. She says, I'm a woman. I'm Mother Earth. I'm a demigoddess. Well, how can you kill me? Even if I were an ordinary person, you shouldn't kill me because I'm a woman. Women are considered innocent, so you can't kill a woman. So he says, no, you've transgressed my order, so I'm going to kill you. And she says, well, if you kill me, if I'm destroyed, then what are the citizens going to live on? I support everyone. Bhu, I'm Bhu, or Dhara. Dhara means uphold. I uphold everyone. So if you destroy me, then how will your citizens live? How's that going to help anybody? And he said, I'll just create another. I'll uphold them. I'm powerful enough. I don't need you, basically, he says. I can just destroy you. He says, I'll cut you to pieces. You're a cow. I'll cut you to pieces and I'll feed you your pieces to my citizens. It's really heavy, actually. Prithu Maharaj is really heavy. He was ready to. In fact, Prabhupada describes the one purport that in times of emergency, it's either here or in the earlier pastimes I was mentioning, that people can't eat meat in times of emergency, but not any time. So here's an example. Prithu Maharaj was ready to feed them the meat of this earth goddess in the form of a cow. So then the war goes on, and that she gives different arguments. She says, actually, the citizens, they're not worshiping me. They're not performing sacrifice. I'm being overburdened by so many mlachas and yavanas and people who aren't performing sacrifice. So I'm withholding my grains. But then she says, finally at the end of her talk, she says, but we make this arrangement where I'll give everything that I have, all the opulence that I have, to nourish different living entities. I'm the form of a cow, so you produce different kinds of calves. And when I see these calves, then naturally the cow, when she sees her calf, she gives milk. So then there's this all mystical arrangement that goes on. First of all, Prithu Maharaj turned, now I forget, in every one there's someone becomes a calf and someone else becomes a receptacle for the milk. So Swayambhuva Manu became either the calf or the receptacle, I forget. And then someone else became the receptacle, and he received, I forget, there's a whole list of things. Each type of living entity gets something which is symbolized as milk, but it's what they want from the earth. So all different living beings from all over the universe, actually, they're given what they want from the earth. They have some representative, just like the Asuras. I think it's Prahlad that becomes a calf. So they want something, whatever it is, I don't remember. And then they get that in the form of milk, or somehow it gets transformed into what they want. So there's this whole list that goes on. The Mother Earth, because all of these things are within her. It's described metaphorically that they're seeds, but we know that all these opulence, everything comes from the earth. So she's able to give it. So we have this whole pastime. Now, at one point, actually, Bhumi Devi, before this takes place, she just glorifies King Prithu. She just offers prayers to him. And one of the things she says, in fact, it's a theme of her prayers, is that you're the creator. You created me. You created everything. It's interesting because she glorifies him as if he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you read the prayers, it sounds like she's speaking to Lord Vishnu directly, not a Shakti Avesh avatar. We find this in other places in the Bhagavatam too, where representatives of the Lord, Lord Shiva is glorified like that, Lord Brahma is glorified like that. You think the prayers are being offered to Vishnu when they're offered to a representative of Vishnu. In any case, that takes place there in that pastime. So I'll just briefly mention a couple of the other ones. Now, of course, I mentioned the beginning of the 10th canto, so we all know that pastime, where Mother Bhumi goes to Brahma and so on. And then there's a section of the 12th canto, which is actually called the Bhumi Gita. In the beginning of the 12th canto, in the second chapter, we get this whole list of anomalies or bad things that are going to take place in Kali Yuga. In the second chapter of the 12th canto. In the third chapter, then Bhumi Devi speaks. So I'll just read a couple of things she says. So Shukadev Goswami said, seeing the kings of this earth busy trying to conquer her, the earth herself laughed. She said, just see how these kings, who are actually playthings in the hands of death, are desiring to conquer me. Great rulers of men, even those who are learned, meet frustration and failure and become because of material lust. Driven by lust, these kings place great hope and faith in the dead lump of flesh called the body, even though the material frame is as fleeting as bubbles of foam on the water. So then she gives several of the verses quote her as talking about the kings, basically, and how they're ruining everything. And then she gives a whole list of kings, which is interesting because it begins with Prithu. Prithu, Pururva, Gadhi, Nahusha, Bharata. So some of these are actually good kings. Gaia is an incarnation of the Lord, I think. He's mentioned just briefly in one of the genealogies that's given in the 8th or 9th canto. So this whole list, then she says, as well as many other demons and kings who possessed great powers of control over others, were all full of knowledge, heroic, all-conquering and unconquerable. Nevertheless, O Almighty Lord, although they lived their lives intensely trying to possess me, these kings were subject to the passage of time, which reduced them all to mere historical accounts. None of them could permanently establish their rule. So this is a recurring theme in Bhumi Devi's thinking, how the kings are responsible for so much trouble in this world. And she asks the Lord to intercede, to come and remove the burden of the world. I was thinking we also have this, now we always think, well, now we have such a burden, and we know that Krishna comes as his holy name to relieve the burden. And we have the word priti in this verse, priti vityache yata nagaradigram, sarvatra prachar hoibe moranam, from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Lord Chaitanya predicted all over the earth, my holy name will be spread. Interesting, I tried to find this in the Veda base because I heard this recently on a lecture and it was really kind of surprised me. Prabhupada was talking about spreading the holy name all over the world, and he said, not by cinema. And it sounded like he was saying, we actually have to go there to places. We can't just send it electronically. Of course, we know electronic, there's benefit, and people will chant, but still, Prabhupada said that. I thought, well, that's interesting that he said that. We actually have to go everywhere, deliver the holy name. In any case, devotees are delivering the holy name all over the world, and that's relieving the burden of the world. Kali Yuga, people are suffering like anything. So Krishna has come as his holy name, and we have to deliver Krishna so that he can deliver the earth from her miseries. So I'll just read the verse again, translation to the first verse. King Parikshit said, how was Bhaumasura, who kidnapped so many women, killed by the Supreme Lord? Please narrate this adventure of Lord Sharanga Dhanbaz. So, any questions or comments? Jamashtami Prabhu?
Wonderful class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada would sometimes speak about the 10,000-year golden age of Krishna consciousness, this interim, and Kali Yuga. I'm wondering, is there a reference from the Puranas or any place like? Could you describe that?
Yeah, there is actually. I didn't know for a long time. I happened to come across it once. I have it on my computer. There's a conversation that takes place. I'm completely forgotten who's involved in the conversation. It's from one of the Puranas. Ganga is speaking. Someone is speaking. Yeah, there's a conversation between Ganga and someone. I can send it to you. Anybody else who wants it, send my email. You can write to editors@krishna.com and I'll get it. That you can remember. If anyone is interested in that, where that comes from, that 10,000 years. But yeah, it's there in the Shastra.
And the period has begun?
As far as I understand, it begins with Lord Chaitanya.
Oh, I see.
So we're just at the beginning of it. So we're pioneers in launching this 10,000 year. Sometimes described as an eddy that goes against the current of the stream of Kali Yuga. That's the 10,000 year golden age. Adi Dev Prabhu?
That things are going to get better before they get worse?
Excuse me?
Are things going to get better before they get worse?
Well, not necessarily. Maybe a little bumpy in the beginning. Actually, we live in very precarious times. I don't pay much attention to these things, but once in a while I get wind of something and I say, oh boy. It's like I heard recently that the ruble has collapsed. Then I heard that it's actually the United States probably that has caused this. Because the United States has a lot of power, so they can just buy up derivatives, or whatever they do. I don't know how it all works, but they can basically destroy countries economically. And, it kind of makes people mad when you do that to their country. So you don't know what kind of repercussion there could be. And just our everything is just built, it's a house of cards, really it is. The whole economic system, it can just fall apart. It's just somehow artificially, it's being held up. So it can collapse at any time. So, I'm not telling you to head for the hills, but this is Kali Yuga, and it can happen. In fact, Prabhupada more or less predicted it in quite a few different places. He says, unless people surrender to the authority of Krishna, he'll destroy everything. So, it might be a rough start to this 10,000 year golden age. Sometimes if you want to build something, first you tear it down. Krishna might just flatten it all out first, and then we'll build on the ashes. Yes, Trivikram Prabhu.
When Prithu was going to kill Mother Earth, and she begged, it's not that the women is considered innocent, but they're supposed to be protected at all times. So they're supposed to be given protection. It's a scriptural injunction that they should never be killed, despite whatever harm they commit or something like that.
Yeah.
One other point. I was listening to your last class. Was it last week? Something. And you were mentioned, I think either Parikshit or Abhimanyu, but it might have been Parikshit, marry Uttara. And you said Duryodhana's daughter.
No, Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu, yeah. It's Uttara, but it's Virata's daughter.
Right. That came up after class. Madhumati clarified that.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't hear that part. So I was listening on the internet and I heard it. So, well, yeah. Because, sometimes later on somebody hears and then they will quote like that.
Yeah.
Like you were
That's the problem. Everything that's recorded for eternity, so you make a mistake. Then people quote it in other parts of the world.
That's how interpretation also comes into play, because the suttas, they're relating the Puranas and stuff. And if they miss something, like us might be also missing it or misquoting it too.
I was just wondering if you knew who the son was. He mentions Krishna pacified the son of Narakasura, and I never even heard that he had a son. I was wondering if you knew or...
Well, that comes up here, actually. In this chapter, his name is given. He comes, his mother brings him, this is his son, forget what his name is. And I think Krishna makes him the king, but, or at least he's he comes very humbly, and the mother says, "Please have mercy on him," something like that. So it's mentioned in this chapter. I think his name is given. All right, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.